Edna and Barbara, it's nice to have you here. You're both professionals. You teach dressmaking and tailoring and fitting, and so I'm sure all of this is old hand to you. But for those of us who just sew for pleasure, we usually go buy a commercial pattern. We come home. We maybe measure, especially for skirt lengths. I usually do that, and also for pants since I'm shorter. But most of us, do you find, just buy a pattern? If it looks like it's pretty close to our size of 8, 10, 12, 14, or whatever, we just make it up, and then we find we have fitting problems?
Exactly. You have a beautifully constructed garment and it doesn't fit properly.
That doesn't fit you. And I understand that's sort of what you've done in this, Edna?
Okay. This was a sample garment, half of a jacket.
This was this pattern, is this correct?
Yes. I selected this to teach my tailoring class for my students, and I needed a sample garment. So what I did was I made this up. And once this jacket was made, I said, oh, this is a nice looking jacket. So I tried it on and realized that it was almost perfect, but not perfect.
But didn't quite fit your body shape.
My body shape. And so let's get this on here.
Okay. And maybe you can point out what the change, because this was your size pattern, basically.
Yes. So what I did, I got the near size to me. Okay.
So what all's wrong with it?
Well, the side panel is line here comes forward. It should not.
And what would that tell us about our body if that line comes forward?
Well, it doesn't tell us about our body. It tells us the pattern is not balanced to our body.
Oh, it's not balanced, okay.
And so to balance this, to keep everything in line on grain, if you pull it backwards, it creates another problem, okay? It creates gapping.
Oh, in the armhole.
In the armhole, okay? And so what we've done here to make this pattern fit better is we've used our draping techniques. We transferred the style lines and the sewing lines onto muslin.
And Barbara, you're going to show us what? This was the same pattern that you're going to work with.
Yes, I just want to demonstrate again that when you pull this seam straight, you get this gapping here. And when you put the sleeve in, it doesn't look right.
It still doesn't help.
It's too full.
No,
it's too full through there.
So we start by putting the shoulder pad on the body the way we want the shoulder pad to be.
Oh,
now, as you know, this leotard is specially designed to match a dress form, okay?
with the vertical and the horizontal lines
right.
at strategic places.
And this leotard is going to be Barbara's tool for her to drape this pattern on me.
On you, so that this will fit your body.
Exactly.
Now, this was the same pattern that you originally used.
Yes.
The muslin and the red lines.
Yes.
Right.
Okay.
And you can't see here, there's a little yellow line which indicates the center front, and we're going to put that at the waist.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and let this just go up as naturally as possible. And when we pull this line up here, here's where you see the gapping.
And that's what we saw on that
Exactly,
pattern.
exactly. So what we're going to do is we're going to move this over so that
You would move it over there and not create the dart through the bust?
Exactly, not create the dart there because you don't want to see a dart there if you don't have to have it. What we do instead, since there was a dart under the lapel, we switch it over into the lapel and we do it that way.
So it's actually there, but it's a hidden dart, if you will.
It's a hidden dart, and it's very graceful, and then you just fold your lapel over it and you don't even see it.
Which was like this.
And the line here is straight.
Okay, we've remedied that problem.
Exactly.
And the one with the gaping under the arm.
Exactly. She moved all the fullness into the main dart under the lapel.
Exactly. The rest of the jacket,
Now this is the back.
didn't need quite as much alteration. This goes under the arm. It's got a three-piece. It needed a little shifting over because of her body, and it needed a dart here that wasn't in the pattern because she sway-backed.
Oh, and that's a common problem many
That's a
people face
very
and don't know
common
what to do to
problem.
correct it.
And that is something that you have to solve before you sew, not after you sew.
If this hadn't have been put in, what does that do? Just give lots of extra fabric?
It would be lots of extra fabric here, yes.
You would see the fabric bunch up at the waist. It would be like it was sitting there instead of draping nicely.
Following the form of your body.
Exactly.
Right. Okay. And you have...
I see. You've just got all this right
exactly.
there.
And
It's
for
just hanging there.
a person with a sway back, it's not an attractive. It's not as if you're just doing like a straight line jacket. It's actual fabric that bunches up in not a very pleasant way.
If a person were slightly rounded shoulders, what adjustments would be made on their pattern? That's
What
a
would
common
happen,
fitting problem
if
too.
we turn Edna around again, you see that her shoulder is very high, okay?
which is the
So
blue
this
line.
came up much higher. This came up much higher than the original pattern.
I see.
And yet, Edna's shoulder does roll forward.
Forward.
You don't see it, there is an adjustment there.
These
The line
match
came
now.
more forward. But where you're gonna see it more is in the sleeve. What happens with the sleeve is that more of the fullness goes towards the front.
And we want that, don't we?
Exactly, because it gives your arm room.
Oh.
And the sleeves hang straight.
And otherwise, it kind of binds. That causes some
Right,
binding on the
right.
back.
And you see,
Yeah.
this comes up here now.
These would match.
Let me put this, taken out the doors. This comes here now,
Uh-huh.
and it hangs straight.
And
straight
that
in.
line goes straight up and down her
Exactly,
side.
Yes.
exactly the way
Yes.
it's supposed to do.
Yes.
And this takes less time than measuring patterns, slashing, and you're still not sure when you measure
If it's
that
gonna be
it's
right.
going to be exact. The only way to do it is on your body, because the body talks to you and tells you where it wants the fabric to go.
And once we've created this, do you suggest any jacket pattern that we'd make these same adjustments, or do you always say make a muslin shell first?
I think that most people tend to like one or two styles of jackets, and probably it would be easier to take this jacket and change a few of the style lines than it would be to re-drape
Yeah.
or something like that. That's not too difficult to do.
Not
Now,
at all.
if you had a pattern, now this one's doesn't have a whole lot of details. If you had bought a pattern you were going to make, but it had, maybe lots of different designs and things, where maybe a scalloped collar, or maybe it had an epaulette at the top, or various things. You just take all this off and ignore that during the fitting part. Is this
Yes.
correct?
Exactly.
So you
Yes.
just want the basic bodice front and the basic bodice back.
Yes.
If you want to change the lapel, what you would do is you line this up with the center front, okay, and you have an extra piece of fabric here. You don't cut it off like this. And what you do is you style the lapel that you want.
What you want. Okay, well, you make it seem simple, but it is certainly some information, especially for people who sew and have maybe at least medium to advanced skills. I think this will be great information for them. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.